Hello, my fellow book lovers. I am Reagan. Welcome to my channel. And today I wanted to do a book review with you guys. I'm going to start doing these hopefully a little bit more frequently on my channel. And I will cover a range of different books and genres, all the way from picture books up to adult fiction, nonfiction, biographies. So I hope that you will enjoy them. And I have my handy dandy notebook. I have my not reheated coffee today. Today it is iced coffee. And I have my cool unicorn coffee mug, which I absolutely love. So we are ready to go. Let's talk about the book. So today we are going to discuss Walt Disney, Magician to the Movies. It is written by Bob Thomas. It is illustrated by Leonard Vosberg. And it is a pioneer book. I'll show you again right here. Now these pioneer books, I have never heard of them, never come across them, and I will tell you that I did a little bit of research. They are published by Grosset and Dunlap, and it's a Routledge book, and I could find that there are at least 3 more in the series, and I think that's all. I think there's a total of 4. So there's the Walt Disney, there is Glenn Curtis, Pioneer Pilot, Maria Tallchief, America's Prima Ballerina, Elizabeth Blackwell, First Woman Doctor. So I believe that's all of the books that were created for this series. And I have not seen or read any of the other ones, just the Walt Disney book. It was my introduction to the series. And we'll get into what I think about that in just a second. But before I do, I want to talk a little bit about the author. Bob Thomas was an American Hollywood film industry biographer and reporter. And another interesting thing about him was he was the first reporter author to be given a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So he is a pretty big deal in Hollywood, and he must have obviously known a lot about the people and a lot about that particular subject, and he must have really loved it and enjoyed it because he authored many books on many different Hollywood figures and stars and just different topics involving the movie industry and that whole scene. So some other people that he wrote about you will be familiar with. They include Joan Crawford, Bing Crosby, Marlon Brando, and he did actually write another biography on Walt Disney, and this was his most popular book, and it was called let me see if I can find it. Okay, Walt Disney, an American Original, and it was published in 1960. So it was actually published before this book was. This book was published in 1966, and I believe that was either the year after Disney passed away or the year that Disney passed away. So now let's get into the reasons why I really like this book. And I do recommend it for you to pick up and to add to your personal library. I did not have any interest in this book. I don't know why. I found it at a library book sale, a book sale room that I frequent actually. And I saw it there a few times and I left it. I was like, I don't know. So I just left it behind, but I kept coming back to it, and finally I just picked it up. But Walt Disney just has never been someone that I was interested in learning about. I don't really care for the Hollywood scene that much, so maybe that's why. But I liked the look of it, so I grabbed it. And I'm so glad that I did. So it sat on my shelves probably for maybe around a year. Then my husband and I rented the movie Saving Mr. Banks with Tom Hanks and I think Emma, what's her name? I can't think of her name. Another British actress who's really great. But it was such a good movie, and it is about Walt Disney, and it's more about P.L. Travers, but it has both of them in there. Fabulous movie, and it really intrigued me. I became curious about Walt Disney as a man because of watching this movie. So I just sort of tucked that in the back of my head, and then a few days ago I decided I needed something new to read, and I looked at my shelves. I told you the other day I wanted to read a biography, and I saw this one. It jumped out at me, and I thought, I'm going to give it a try. And I became enamored with Walt Disney through this book. let me tell you just a couple of things that really grabbed my attention and a few reasons why I think that this is a worthy book to have. So it's, first of all, it's a great intro biography because it doesn't go into great depth about his events, the events that happen in his life, but it gives you a great overview of his character, of things that took place and things that kind of led him to where he ended up. He was just an incredible man, and his character is really what is highlighted, in my opinion, in this book. And some of his character traits that I think are really worthy for us and for our children to emulate are he is such a hard worker. He has dogged determination. He would see a problem and then he would take the initiative to go and learn about the issue and he would solve it himself. He didn't wait for someone else to come along and to innovate for him. He just did it. He was immensely creative, as we all know, but his work ethic was phenomenal, and it really is what got him to where he needed to go. So I love this book because it focuses on those qualities and those aspects. Now, the book starts out when he was a young boy, and he's living on a farm with his family, and he really had this impulse to draw. He was only 6, and he was outside taking care of the family pig, and he saw this bucket of tar, black tar, that was sitting, and then he looked up and he saw the clean, crisp canvas of the white siding of their farmhouse. And he got inspiration by looking at his pig, looking at the tar bucket, and he decided to paint the pig on the siding of the farmhouse. Well, of course, his father was pretty upset about that. So there is one instance where I believe it talked about spanking. It wasn't graphic or anything. So if that's something that concerns you, it's there. It's just a little blip. But yeah, his father wasn't very happy with him about that. But that is where it kind of all starts for him, and he knew he wanted to become an artist. Now, his father never really supported him in that dream. And while that is evident, it's not a focus of the book. And you can tell that there's tension between Walt and his family, his father specifically, but it's not highlighted and it's not done in a disrespectful way. So I really appreciate that for a book, especially when it is geared towards a younger audience. So I was really appreciative of that because I think parent and children relationships can be complicated, but it didn't need to be the focus of this story, and I'm glad that it was not. Let me tell you another part of this story that just highlights his stubbornness. So as he gets older, he realizes and recognizes that he is a workaholic, and his doctor has told him a couple of times now that he needs to learn to do something to relax. So as an older man, he's married now and he has 2 daughters who are teenagers, and he decides, I want to train. I want to build a train around this new house that we are about to get started on building. And I want it to be a model train where people can ride on it around my house, and I want to build it myself. And so he told his wife and daughters about the idea, and they were kind of mortified. It was embarrassing to them, especially the teen daughters. If you have teenagers, you understand that perhaps. So they could not imagine having to bring their friends to their home where their dad is riding around on a train with a conductor's hat, blowing the whistle. It was embarrassing to them. So they were not happy with this idea. The wife was happy that he wanted to do something to relax so he would be healthy, but she knew that sometimes he tended to drop projects, so she did not want to have the leftover railroad on her property in this brand new house that they were building. So knowing their reluctance, he went to a lawyer and came home one day and said, here's the contract. I want you to sign the contract. He's speaking to his wife and both his daughters, stating that we will build a railroad around the house. And he outlined it. It was an actual legal document. And he said, if you do not sign this contract, we will not build a new house. So obviously he is a man who was determined to get his way, which we have to recognize is not always the best thing. But I think that was kind of a way to highlight his stubbornness a little bit and recognize that while he was a great man, he probably had his flaws. That was not the kindest way to go about things, but it worked. So I feel like I touched on everything that I really wanted to touch on. It was really remarkable to read about this man who so widely impacted and touched our society in many different ways that I didn't realize. From World War II, where he was widely involved, up to, of course, the creation of iconic films and cartoons and characters and music that we all know and love even today. And that does not even touch on his theme parks, Disney World, Disneyland, and all the other creative innovations that he came up with in his lifetime. So I highly recommend this book. I hope you've enjoyed the review. Please like and subscribe if you would like more of this, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.